Our first writer, her name is Lynne Handy. She's a member of the St. Charles Writers Group, the Chicago Writers Association, and Sisters in Crime. She has self-published a novel, In the Time of Peacocks, and her work has been published in Clementine Poetry Journal, Memoir Journal, Lark's Fiction Magazine, and Pegasus. Her short story, Rabbit on the Moon, was performed at the Vero Voce Theater. A retired library director, she lives in North Aurora, where she is editing poems for a chapbook. Lynne, please.
Thank you, everybody. I have two short stories. I'm going to read the lighter one first. The name of it is Rabbit on the Moon, and Kevin said that it was performed at Vero Voce. So here we go. Can you hear me? Okay. On the library wall are canvases of Texas bluebonnets, horses silhouetted against umber skies, and a senora blowing dandelion puff on a sunny morning. I leave the gallery, turn a corner. A singer is crooning Yesterday's Wine, a Willie Nelson tune. Entering a festive ballroom, I see the young Willie imitator dressed in a baby blue tuxedo. Gold streamers shudder like snaky dancers each time the air conditioner exhales. Women, their hair sculpted like Roman goddesses, straighten their spines in designer gowns, and their broad-chested men, some with flab rolling over their belts, sport western-cut jackets with sequined lapels. I am Dulcie Pitt, Executive Director of Cross Timbers Library System, CTLS, in Northwest Texas. Prodded by Miranda, my board chair, I have come to a library gala to meet wealthy Texans and sell them on the notion of contributing to literacy programs. I'd rather apply for grants because I don't schmooze well, but here I am in my navy blue dress and a rope of faux pearls. On the way to the table, Miranda introduces me to a state congresswoman in a white pantsuit whom I am supposed to adulate, even though she belongs to the political party that consistently cuts library funding. I override my Presbyterian conscience when I say how much I admire her and follow Miranda through the crowd. She finds our table overlaid with white linen and set with pale orchid china and a half-yard of silverware. My napkin has been fashioned into a swan. I pull its tail feather, spread it across my lap, and discreetly look around. Miranda's mentor, Bunny, heiress to a South Texas ranch spanning 6 counties, sits directly across from me and stares at the empty chair on my right. It crosses my mind that whoever sits there must be important. Then I'm distracted by a beautiful red-headed woman in a pale green dress on the far side of the table. Can it be Greer Garson? Garson married a Texas oil man and lives in Dallas. If the lady is Garson, she is still gorgeous. She must be nearly 90 now. Whoever she is very drunk. She tips over her water glass and a waiter comes to mop up. I feel sad remembering Garson as noble Mrs. Miniver thwarting a wounded Nazi in her kitchen. A large shaggy shadow passes overhead. The man Bunny was waiting for sits beside me. He is about 6'5" tall, elderly, and wears a suit much too big for his frame. He mutters his name, which I don't catch, and says he's a retired dentist, a driller. That's Texan for oil man. He gives me the once-over, reaches a long arm across my plate, and begins pawing my butter knife. I am stunned. He and I lock eyes. His are pale and watery. Do you know Kokopelli? He asks in a soft voice. Often he's depicted with a large phallus. I don't reply. He rubs the bowl of my teaspoon. Perhaps you don't know who he is, he says indulgently. He's a Mesoamerican humpback fertility god, particularly venerated by southwestern Native American tribes. I try for a light tone. I've seen pictures. The driller eyes me. He moves from my teaspoon to my dessert fork. Moistening his lips, he fondles each tine and tells me more about Kokopelli. He's a piper. He wears a feathered headdress. He can be seen on the full moon as Asians see a rabbit. The driller's long shank presses against mine under the table. I move my leg. He finds mine again. I kick his ankle. He makes no sound. Crocopelli is more like Pan, the great reveler, he says. Then with lightning speed, he lunges across my upper torso and passionately strokes my dinner fork. He's quite a fellow, he pants, carries newborns in his hump. When women hear his flute, they flee to the desert. I shove my chair away from the table. He yanks it back, nudging my bosom, and then reaches for my dinner knife and rubs it feverishly. His eyelashes flutter. Crocopelli rapes, but women enjoy his attentions. He pleasures them in the process, you know. Then he leans back in his chair and takes a deep breath. I can't believe that my dinner companions are ignoring the driller's behavior, but they appear to be in another world, speaking in quiet dabs of conversation, not looking my way. But apparently Bunny had been watching. At this point, Miranda leans toward me and hisses a warning. Bunny is playing matchmaker for the redhead and the driller, and he's paying too much attention to me. I should leave the table, find a cab, and go home. I'd considered it when the driller touched my butter knife, but Miranda, who along with 8 other people is my boss, would have been offended. Warily, I look at the driller. Except for my soup spoon, he has violated all my silverware. He and I stare at the pristine, small, bowled utensil. What he does next will determine my course of action. He turns his back. Last year, he said to our table mates in an elegant tone, I hunted tigers in Tanzania. Truly, replies Bunny's husband. In November, Bunny and I went to Cambodia to see the Irrawaddy dolphins. Jim and I vacationed in Kenya, offers Miranda, on safari, you know. The band plays Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. A streamer breaks free and floats down, draping the driller's shoulders in gold. A server comes with the soup, a mushroom consommé with a wonderful aroma, and sets mine in front of me. I take a sip with my undefiled spoon and clean the rest of my silverware with a sanitizing toilet I carry in my purse. The driller regales his friends with tales of his travels. The redhead continues to glow in the dark. On my way home, I look up at the sky and find the rabbit on the moon. Okay, both my pieces are sort of semi-autobiographical. This one is when I was much younger. And the name of it is Dina, a Warrior. And again, it's semi-autobiographical. My brother has a tumor with tentacles that are choking his brain. In a dark corner of Finn's room, death waits. People speak in low voices. They walk softly. Their bodies sag. I sit in an alcove trying to read, but can't concentrate because my mind is wild. Throwing down the book, I stomp from the house, making loud growling noises, wanting death to fear me. I run past the garden filled with dazzling poppies, purple, orange, crimson, peach, and white. It's the white ones whose egg-shaped pods contain the milk that helps Finn sleep. Sometimes he hurts so much that he thrashes and breaks the spindles on the headboard. When the poppy leaves wither, Mommy slits the pods and collects the sap and boils it with water and lime. It smells musky, like dirty socks. Scum settles on the top. Using a spoon, she lifts it to dry. Then she adds the powder to Finn's apple juice and gives it to him. Only Daddy and I know what Mommy does with the white poppies. The tractor is parked in the barn lot, still hitched to the harrow. Daddy was in the east field when Mommy sent Uncle Herb to fetch him. I run past the machinery, and when I reach the meadow, I fling out my arms and shout, "Death, I won't let you have my brother." To defeat death, I need a sword. Near the creek, I find a stick suitable for jousting. Needing armor to cover my chest, I tear down a patch of blue morning glories, lift it over my head, and pat it into place. Then I rip part of the purple-blossomed clematis from the fence and drape it on my head. I am invincible. Where's my army? A phalanx of cattails grows alongside the creek. They'll do. "Forward, men," I cry. Marching to the house, I stand outside Finn's window and yell, "Death, you're a coward to hide beside a sick boy's bed. Come out." Grandma comes to the window. "Shh, Dina," she says, "you must be quiet when you play outside Finny's window. I am a great warrior." "That's nice, dear," says Grandma. Just play quietly. Flinging myself on the ground behind the tiger lilies, I part the leaves to spy on the window. Death surely heard me shout. Will it dare show its face? Minutes pass, nothing happens. My troops are restless, they've grown bored lying in the grass, and I tell them to hush. Then as I wait, something slithers in the tall grass beneath the window. Death is tunneling near the house. A blossom drops in front of my eye, and I swat it away. Leaping to my feet, I shout to the army, "Follow me!" We run past the swing set, the forsythia bushes, and are about to dash into the lane when death detours through the poppies. Blooms sway wildly. I leap into the poppy garden and beat the orientals until they're all down. Then I beat the shirleys, the reds, the celandines, and the plumes. Finally, all the poppies are destroyed, even the white ones, and their once gorgeous heads bleed all over the ground. Leaving my army, I run along the fence row that parallels the asphalt road. I hear the hum of a motor and see Grandpa and Uncle Herb behind me in the pickup truck. Grandpa calls out, "Dina, get in. It's time to say goodbye to Finny." Grandpa stops the truck and Uncle Herb gets out to chase me. In the middle of the meadow, he grabs me around the waist. I kick, I punch, I yell as loud as I can. I knock off his glasses. He picks them up and carries me to the truck. Grandpa says, "Dina, why do you want to hit Uncle Herb? He's only trying to get you so you can say goodbye to Finny." "I won't." "Now, is that being a nice girl?" he asks. "Poor Finny, he'll want to carry your words to heaven." "No." Uncle Herb holds me firmly on his lap. I burst into tears. "I won't tell Finn goodbye." "Tell him whatever is in your heart," says Uncle Herb. "That's right," says Grandpa. "Just say what you feel, honey." By the time we reach the house, I've settled down. The preacher's gray Chevy is parked in the driveway. I'm sorry I punched and kicked Uncle Herb. I look guiltily at his glasses, which set crookedly on his nose. In my piggy bank, there's a $10 bill. I'll give it to him to buy new ones. Grandma shakes her head. "Look at you, dead flowers hanging from your hair." She starts to remove them, but Uncle Herb says, "She's fine, Ma. Leave the flowers alone." Mommy and Daddy are in Finn's room. The preacher sits beside the bed. He offers the chair to me. I sit down and look at my brother's face. Mommy must have given him some of her medicine because he lies unmoving with closed eyes. I find his icy hand and rub it to give him warmth. I am swollen with feelings and don't know what to say. Then his chest inflates, he exhales, and I arch over him to catch his breath in my mouth. Closing my lips, I hold it there, feel it seep into my lungs and spread throughout my body. I am become Finn. "He's gone," said the preacher. He begins saying the 23rd Psalm. Mommy cries. My grandparents and uncle come in the room. I go to the alcove and sit for several minutes, feeling Finn settle in my soul. Thank you.